Okay, August 14th at 4:01, we'll call meeting to order. Start with roll call, Dave.
Here.
Robert. Here. Brent's excused, Carol's not here, John. You. Norm, I'm here, Bill. Here. Christine, Todd. Here. Pete's resigned and Tracy's excused. Next item is approval of the minutes from last meetings.
So move.
Second,
Second.
one favor.
Aye.
Carried. Okay, you have to make an approval of Tim's financial report. I don't have a copy of. I got one. Read it, yeah. Sure. So the credits are what you've paid out, correct, Tim, on this? Or George, what do you guys?
The left-hand column, I believe, is black, so that would be revenue. The right-hand column is red, so that would be expenditures.
Right.
Correct. So the only thing that we've done since we last met was collect interest.
Since you said this,
Yep, so that was our July collection. So far this month, we've added another 17,000 to that, so. You throw that on top right now, we just did the transfer on a month basis, so. If we were to transfer everything today that we've collected since the 1st of August, we'd be just over 100,000 today.
around 104 or so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last month, we made $154 in interest before we, have deposited any substantial amount of money, so.
When do you anticipate most of the summer taxes, pretty much got them on now or no?
We looked at this in the past, and shared that with the committee. Typically by the end of the, grace period or whatever you want to call it, when you can pay without penalty, which is September 15th. We're typically north of 92%, that range.
By September?
By September 15th, yeah, so. I would anticipate that, when we do our transfer, the first week of August to move whatever we collected in September. You're probably gonna be sitting at close to 280,000, 300,000 in the bank,
Okay,
would be my guess. Cause we projected this year to collect 324, I think was the number.
okay,
That's,
okay. Anybody have any questions on the letter from the bank from Tim's County? I'll make the motion. Motion by Bill,
second.
second by we had no public comments, Tim, coming today. So everybody, sorry, want to take a vote on that?
Aye.
Yes. Okay. Nothing came in today since you're printing,
Nothing at all, sir.
so. We should try to discuss between us what we think or what we want to do. Next, and how the finances are looking. It doesn't appear that we're gonna do the bond just because of the language from Tim's attorney.
Oh, yeah, I think there's some talk, we need to blitz. The husband says rising prices.
You never know. We thought if we got done before that, some of the interest you're paying might offset some of the inflation, but. And correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, your lawyer pretty much just said it opens you up for becoming a not semi-private legal.
No, the issue is entirely on whether or not that debt issue would qualify for a tax exempt status. And to do that, your bond buyers are gonna need that public project, public purpose, public assurancy that required language in the agreement between the village and the association that talked about the public's right to access and use the lake. Which they have, and the water's public, but understandably that language gave the board heartburn. When we initially set this project up and decided to go down this road as opposed to the bond road. When we made those decisions, a year ago, more than a year ago at this point in time, so.
Have you talked to your lawyer about the verbiage at all? George,
No. No, I remember when we discussed it originally.
we thought it was pretty much internal, but I don't know if we ever had a second opinion. I mean, it still kind of makes sense to us, but I don't want any more activity on the lake than we currently have. I don't want to change the status of our lake. They go ahead.
Well, we, as the association, don't have the latitude to force a bond or a millage or
We
things
do
like
not,
that.
no, that's.
And that's why we have the village engage with that.
Right.
Because of their latitude that they can. And when we originally talked about this, I've got notes in one of my files here that if when it was whereas, if you remember that document, the terminology, the interpretation of the way it was written, I should say, made it sound like it would be public. Because you can't hide, because like what Tim said, you can't hide the public funds from that verbiage, because that's what it is.
I didn't know if it would affect your collection on some of your membership dues as well, if they're paying.
Why
taxes.
would they pay to join us when they can come
Now
out
that
in?
it's become public theoretically.
So,
Well, the other thing is, when is our? By the end of September, we should have this tax for this year, but when is the spring tax coming due again? Is that in April?
February.
We only have one for the village.
There's only one for the village.
That's
We
right.
got one, then there's no spring and summer.
So then it'll be next August again.
Be a year.
but you've got more in here now than you need for. But they're not needed, Dave,
Birch.
Birch pay.
Birch was what, 223? Something like that?
Yep, you said you're gonna have 285 in September.
202.
My question is it possible to save the overage for this year? And start our dredging project in the river next year with what we have left, plus pay off the balance in.
You'll have money left, and that's the intent is to keep rolling it over. I think,
Plus the balance in on next August will pay for the finished type dredging project.
was there still money available for? At one point, there was leftover PPP funds. Is that included in here?
ARPA money, yeah, that's 30, that's the initial deposit,
I need better glasses.
36 or something like that?
yeah.
38, 36.
Yeah, let me bring them, so. Get out of there, I have a file.
What was the final fee we got for Birch?
We've approved a bid for 205,445 or something like that.
Now, that did not include the boat camp repair. did
It
it?
did.
Yes, it
We
did.
put that, we put that in the RFP.
So we should have, barring anything crazy popping up, we should have 75,000 or so left after that job, before the next taxes come in.
I would peg it probably closer to 100.
Yeah, I said, I wrote 100, so.
So if we schedule something like river dredging next year, to have it finish up by the time we get next year's taxes, we should be able to pay for the dredging.
Yeah, I mean,
You're
That's-
close.
pretty close to it, yeah. I mean, based on the projections that you've had from Guy Savin in the past and, you know, what we're going to knowingly have in the bank. You know, right now, we're at 87,000, add the 17 or so that we've collected so far this month, you're at 100. By the end of the year, I put it in here. Did I put it in here? Yeah. You know, for next year, we collect 330 to 335. You know, we don't know exactly where our values are gonna be and how Headley's gonna knock it back. That's a pretty conservative estimate. You know, so you're looking at having a fund balance of,
I figure around 400,000 roughly.
Little more.
yep, and, you know, I talked with Norm back in June and George back in June, probably May or June. since this is millage money, since it's public money, we do have to include it in how we budget. So the village's budget that we put together, and we do a multi-year budget. Just for our own financial health and well-being. Like, the county. We put it. Get down here. Lake Improvement Fund. And obviously, this is totally subject to being changed by this committee. We just had to have numbers in here for the budget. 324 collected this year, 337 for next year. Interest, revenue, that kind of stuff. And then expenses, we plugged in 380 as the amount for next year for the river. We plugged in, 5 and then 10,000 for permitting. Another, those are for lab tests, another $1,000 for permitting, printing and publishing, just stuff that we knew that we had done. But when you look at.
Some of those contractors counted permitting and submittal with it in their bid.
I think just Norm. So yeah, you're potentially 148,000 carrying over.
Okay.
And then you throw that in with the revenue for the next year, you're still gonna have 100,000 roughly is. You guys can't probably see that well, but the lake improvement is this fund here, so. The fiscal year for us that ended June 30th, we just had a little bit, in terms of fund. Revenue, because that doesn't show the ARPA money till this year, we may wait until then to do transfer to there. So, yeah, I mean, we're sitting in very good shape, based on the past projections that we, got from Guy to do the river. I think both of those projects are still right on progress, right on track to be done, so.
But we should, if we're talking a year down the road, and the way that DEQ talks, or Eagle. That permitting process.
And that's exactly why, George and I talked, Norm and I, Dave and I said, we probably need to get rolling on getting the permits going to do the river now.
Yes, sir. I've already got the testing.
Well,
Most-
I've already done the test, Tim.
Yeah,
Is
And,
that permitted?
What's that?
That was part of his proposal, when he came to do his deal, I'm not sure he's put that.
Yeah, that was an overall thing too.
Yeah.
Not just the
He was
river.
gonna do the bond portion of it. That's what he said, would include everything.
Well, he said if we did the permit, that would save us some money, the permit and testing, that would save us some money, because then.
I don't have a problem with Guy doing it, I think we probably should ask other contractors to visit that site and give us a competing bid,
I agree with that.
so if.
Probably we could include it in our request for proposal that permitting is part of the thing.
yeah, we could definitely do an RFP.
We've seen from Guy that they like to handle it.
Well, they do it every day.
Right, and
They have
it's,
contacts in the district.
That's what I'm saying.
They also have legal every day, so it may have a little bit of wiggle room there.
Well, in that. I wanted to present, I've been thinking about this layout, if it is going to be hydraulically removed.
I think some of it has to be, I think there's some that can be done mechanically, but obviously not all of it, so I don't know.
We can only get right in front of the park, it's 1,000 feet, what I took sediment samples in. We can get probably 400 feet of it maybe mechanically, if we can get a long reach and get out behind
I'm
the.
sure you can get a long reach, and then I don't know if they scrape some of that off, they may be able to now take that machine with, they have long mats or,
Sure.
mats. They can work their way into it,
Yeah, they want.
but I think it's worth asking several contractors
Well, here's
what they want.
Here's something I want to suggest to the committee. If it is done by barge, which to me it makes sense. Because it can get everywhere. The next one down is, Queens. Very steep banks to get down there to work off of. Be kind of nice to have a barge out there to suck it out.
They can
Then
finish from a barge and bucket too.
then is down all the way down to Whispering Pines. and those inlets down to, River and the front side and north side of Whitburn Pines. Which that could be something that would work out using Van Ice property. To pump to.
Would we talk to Van Ice?
No, I'm not talking to anybody about that. That's not time yet.
Well, I don't know necessarily that, I agree that that area is logistically close together, but those areas also affect a small amount of people compared to another park area.
Sure, I don't disagree,
So we're gonna.
but
get
it's all
back on that.
downstream from the Riviera. So if we work our way around to the main body of the south end, then we take off and start doing the mechanical on the east side.
Yeah,
Because remember you gotta remember that the Eagle wanted as few permits as possible.
right.
Cause I was gonna do 11. And
Well-
they did no.
The other thing is equipment staging, if you haven't staged in that neck of the woods anyway, that makes it a smooth.
It's not gonna stage for a year while they're waiting for next.
Yeah,
No.
you're next amount of money.
So-
That'd be our problem.
I suggested, I told them, I said, Birch is a standalone right now, you've already processed that. The river is hydraulic, so that would be one.
Yeah.
And then we could do, a south, an east and a west or something like that, 3 more permits.
Right.
But all those sites will be on those 3 permits. And like, Birdie Park, South Park would be on 1.
Our tests are good for 7 or 10 years. Let's say you just
They're
skip,
10, yeah.
even if we had to do some of it ourselves, but I mean, if we want to. The tests are one thing, but if we want to ask the contractors to pull the permits, I would like to know if we do our tests. And they take the tests that we've
For
Yeah.
their permit.
done and
Yeah.
apply that with their permit.
Yes, they can.
So I think to even know whether or not a site is going to be allowed to be dredged without having the, a restricted deed somewhere, or whatever it's gonna take to get there's contaminated soil. I think the tests have to be done first. And then if that one's
Well-
so far gone, it's just, it might be crossed off.
The big sand pile down there north of Peninsula, it had 1 fail in,
Slowly.
selenium. Then the river had 1 test point fail in arsenic,
But we're,
so I went and did a retest, it failed again. I
with
thought,
your,
okay.
with your conversation, didn't you say that one test out of the 7?
When you have, because there's actually 14 tests.
Okay. So 1 out of
And that-
14 was,
And 1 out of 14 failed. So when you look at the percentages, I don't know what the cutoff is,
Now, did he red flag that, or did he say, that's okay?
that's what I thought. I mean, that common sense says that should be okay, but I don't, it's also different. So if he's along those lines, before something else changes, I think we should test. It's gonna take money out of this budget, but it might save you thousands and thousands down the road if you have your permit in hand, or you have your testing done and approved. And then whoever does that next phase can take those tests that are approved, and go,
None of that, I think it saves a lot of time,
well,
that-
yeah, I'm not opposed to having the contractors do their own testing either, but if we're gonna have them do testing. If we asked them out to do a bid
There's a time
on
factor.
South Park. And South Park wasn't totally tested, we said, okay, we want to dredge South Park. We approved their bid, then they go and do the testing, and it fails, that's all for nothing, that whole fall. was-
For instance,
That's my-
for instance, see, we got the river testing. Move it and drop the.
Well, South Park has been tested, so is Park.
I'm just throwing that out.
I know, but, cause I thought we were gonna work up that east side originally.
Yep.
South Park, Park, cause we wanted to use that as access to get to the sandbar. And then I still needed to test Birdie. And I also did north of South Park out there in front of Peninsula.
My understanding was we weren't gonna get back down to the Van Boyce area and the Whispering Pines, any of that stuff till the end.
Yeah, that was gonna be towards the end.
Yeah, it's like,
It affects the speeds, but
exactly, that's the exact reason, the river, it makes a ton of sense, and then after that. It was, the big chunk in the south, and then the bays that people are using up here that need to get done.
Well,
The original thought
the only
was
reason I-
that river, doing the river and then getting that so that it would be more like a silt trap.
Yeah.
To help out some of
plus
those
you
other
get done enough
places.
in time to get possibly.
Go back to
Right.
Maintenance.
And see, that would be the one concern I would have if we have the contractors pull the permits is. you know, those permits are only good for 5 years. Are we gonna bid out all of those bays as one or and tie it to the south? Because, you know, the way we structured the project in terms of how we were gonna get the revenue was gonna be basically doing, letting a lot of people have a bite at the apple year after
As you
year.
go.
Yeah,
Well, see,
I
I
think
was
we
thinking
made that
of
as
standpoint of
calculated,
staging.
that was a
Same
cal-
plan staging.
that was a calculation too, to appease as many people as we could, so they would see progress.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
That's why we parse it out like that.
I still say if you have your testing done, and that's good for, 7 or 10 years. And
Ten is for testing.
so then I think if you know that this area can be dredged. And you're gonna get,
We have a lot of options.
you have maybe 2 contractors working, I don't know how you wanna do it, but. I mean, if they want that, if the permit wants to be for that large. Multi-area location to keep Eagle happy. You almost have to have one contractor to do all that, but he's gonna have to, we're gonna go
Or we
structure,
continue building it like we are.
But he'll have to bid it with the rest.
right?
Yeah, but
Incremental.
But
If it's a
but
big
they'll know,
project,
they'll know that
we
the
won't have
soil
the funds,
bingo.
therefore it makes
Right,
sense.
it's about an as we go thing.
Yeah.
We
All
can,
right, all right.
I mean, they don't want a lot of permits, but we're gonna have them.
yeah, we can still have a lot of permits, or 4 or 5 permits, all they want. We can do that. But we do not have to let that whole area out in 1 year, because we ain't gonna have the funds to do that.
That's
But
great.
we can let part of it out this year and part of the next year or whatever.
Even though one
That
permit
way,
may cover both.
They're
parts.
happy, we got less permits, we can do all the testing and the permitting. Because a contractor is not gonna get a permit for more than he's gonna bid on
Right,
and be happy. He will do it.
because then that chops up the many permits.
So you're suggesting
We do
we go for
We continuing
Yeah,
how we're.
we do the permitting
we control it
and the
out.
testing. Because we don't have the funds. It's great if you're gonna do the whole acre, a big chunk. We don't have the funds to do that, so we're gonna have to.
And I think we have to have, I think you're right, I think we have to have the permits in hand before we bid out, because we don't know the disposal.
I agree.
You know, if for whatever reason Eagle decides that one test now is gonna be a problem and it's gonna result in having to landfill X amount of cubic yards, you know, that's an entirely different cost
Totally change it.
next rate on that bid RFP.
Totally change it.
Okay,
So currently, we're going to do, just to review for myself, Birch Park this fall.
That's pretty.
Bid, already bid.
Right.
It's close.
And we have to be at full pond for them to do the suction dredging on Riviera, so we're gonna do that in March? Or we're gonna wait a whole summer again?
so when we talked to Guy, the guy gave his presentation, he said they worked through the winter and clear.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of that depends on
Right.
which kind of winter, if you had winter like last winter, you didn't take any goes up.
Okay.
But
We don't have all of his money till next August, so we better, he's
Our
gonna,
next problem with
he's
that.
gonna want to time it so he gets done in August, stand there with his hand.
And then he's gonna want money on day 1.
Yeah.
Not on day August.
First setting, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, he's gonna want it up front for safety.
See, that's the only thing that I'm thinking.
And then
Like,
maybe the river dredge starts in August.
Well, if
And
we know
and we
upfront-
do our proposal for July.
Yeah, that's what
And
I
then
was thinking.
we know our July's happening, we know our money's coming in, we know we'll be able to pay for it, we know we'll be able to kick half down if we have to.
Yeah.
On the proposal.
Yeah,
or-
we're the late summer fall window for 25. is what I was
And then that would be the fall window, and then maybe this is an instance where we don't let it down as soon as we want it, you know, we're talking of letting it down sooner to give the mechanical an advantage. Well, maybe we would leave it up a little bit longer to
I'd
give
say
the
we-
dredge an advantage.
I'd say we time it for about now and finishing out.
Well, how much
Next year.
left over from this year we're going to have?
At least 100.
What did they say that it was gonna, Savins gonna be about
350 in the river,
350?
I plugged in
And
335.
So we'll have 150, could we do a smaller project in the fall or spring before the water? Well, like I'm thinking, what is it, Park? Which is eventually gonna be our roadway?
We'll get the most bang for our buck out of the river though. We get us some.
Actually, our part, eventually be our roadway, should we wait till after we use it as a roadway?
If you have money, why do you-
If we have the money, we can do, we don't just have to say, okay, section dredging only. Because if we're gonna have money, then we can do one of the smaller ones too.
But taking away that initial money might take away our initial down payment for our suction dredging.
That's a good point.
Oh, the year, yeah.
Yeah, he's got, would he take a, well, if he's doing a B3.25, would he take 100% of this equipment? We don't know that either.
We would know that when the day came.
Yeah, we don't know that
We
either.
put the bid out, the request for
It
proposal.
sounds viable.
Okay, so. I think we've all agreed. That we're gonna keep the permitting and testing in house, is that correct, everybody?
Yeah.
Because it
I'd say,
was
yeah.
stipulated how we're
Because it's how we have to, and continue forward.
So with that being said, do we wanna release George to start doing the rest of his testing?
I think you should continue on based on how long the tests live and not then. If they live that long,
That's the most important point.
We only
right?
have 10 years on our bond anyways.
Right, well.
Well,
And so those tests last as long as they're bound,
I guess just don't test the
further out stuff.
last 2 years
Well,
possibly.
right.
Then all we gotta figure out is after the river, what do we want to tackle next? Bar?
yeah, we only collect revenue 12 years.
Yeah.
If we have money left over after 12 years, we can work in a year 13 or year 14. That's not an issue, you know?
Don't count on it.
But we still have to save that money aside for any kind of remediation.
Yeah,
Restoration, maintenance.
We can do that, yep. You know, cause, you know, what we had continually told people when we went out for this is like, you know, this initial round is gonna be the expensive round, because we've gotta make up for decades of neglect.
Correct.
But we do need to continue to have funds dedicated to the lake in the future. It's not gonna be 3 mills.
I would love to see this bond get renewed, take.
Yeah. 100%. Even if
Maybe on a less,
If you get something done that they can see.
Yeah.
that they're gonna
If they see the benefit, that'll be a no brainer.
Yeah.
Make people a little easier to.
Which is why I say, yeah. Do another little one.
Yeah.
George, in your discussion with Eagle, did you give hypothetical areas you thought would be broke into your 4 permit areas?
just in general terms, east, west, south, and river and birch. Because the
So-
river's separate because it's hydraulic.
Do you guys wanna try to piecemeal that together today? To decide whether, because if they wanna do it in 4 permits,
We got to see, we probably should have a map up,
what areas we wanna,
Where's the map at?
because we know the photos.
And then there's also a yardage amount per permit, correct?
Well, if you go over 10,000 cubic yards, you've gotta have an extra test point,
just more testing,
just more test.
but it didn't change it to a
No, it
major.
also goes to another level of approval,
I
doesn't it?
think that these are all
Yeah.
gonna be, major, if I remember right.
We're gonna ask George to produce the testing, we should probably give them.
We should at least know.
Well, I believe Paul Barber told me that the staging to do the river was $25,000. Getting the equipment here, all that, the barge. So I was thinking if that could save some money, even if he would leave the barge out there
Over winter,
for the winter, for the next year to do those other things, or not big, but he could,
That's assuming he's not working anywhere else all winter.
if he doesn't have another barge.
And that, so.
And they're finishing up with Shamrock Lake right now, which is where he's.
We don't wait till Monday to put it in the job Tuesday either.
I think if we look at the map and check the areas and then. Maybe even,
We need to have something different.
so they have all look at it, whoever, say, hey. You know. The spitball a number of what he thinks if you do after this picture here, where you go next. That gives us a starting point for what. It's not. Something to write down and then that paper. It's no numbers.
Consider all along. Before you look at it.
Somewhat levelish.
Sure. I agree.
It looks somewhat level.
Yep.
Close enough for highway work. One thing to think about with the state permitting requests, we're talking about dealing with them over multiple administrations, they're gonna change their mind.
Or their process.
Yeah.
Or the requirements and
Like I say, all you
Through
can
the
do is-
permitting process.
and their name. You know, it's,
all you can do is plan for what.
all you can do is,
You voted for it.
Do we have the color coded one of those where we show people this is, remember on our information sheet?
I sent it as an email.
These are the ones that we were going to do in order. Remember?
This one,
Well, no,
we kind of did,
late map.
here's the highest priority.
It said, no, these are priorities.
We told them I wasn't cutting stones.
This is what.
Well, yeah, we told them that.
I go here and then.
We don't want to do administration.
what's that one?
I calculated this.
It's this one is what you're talking about, I think, Dave.
There you go, that's the one.
I get that you're worried
We
about.
don't wanna, yeah, we don't wanna
Retract.
change it on people.
I don't think that really showed any priority, that just showed all of our locations.
Or 4-year permit.
Oh, yeah, because this is back when we were hung up on Heritage.
We did Birch South and the River in red to show those were the highest priority.
Right. Okay, that's.
And after that, it was,
After that, it was.
there was no hierarchy.
So I think you should probably stick to that. That's what.
After
people saw
that,
when people voted.
didn't we have a survey out looking for input?
Not on that, no.
Not on that.
No, but this is what you showed the general public for
Mhm.
voting.
Yes,
This is
the
what
only
they-
trouble is the pink down the bottom in Peninsula is 120,000 yards.
that-
We're not gonna have money for that. That'd
No.
be 3 years, 4 years. of money.
This says all quantities shown are estimates and subject to permanent approval from the state, boundaries of area where we're slightly different than shown on the map.
And that's why I like this.
So in year 1 and year 2, you get
So the
both
disclaimer's done.
of those done.
We're,
That anything is
We're,
possibly,
you know,
could be changed.
and then these
Boundary
orange
areas.
areas were kind of the next phase, and then these yellow were the last. And it goes back to what we're talking about earlier, impact.
So I think we should probably, and I know that, it might seem weird to
Bounce around,
bounce those two or, whatever,
Yeah.
these two. But that's, I don't think the permit matters, other than
No.
logistics. If you're just moving a barge, if you are doing vacuum dredging, you're floating a barge down there, that's a couple hours adventure.
Yeah.
That's not thousands and thousands of dollars.
like, to me, it makes a ton of sense to do Essex, Lincoln, Birdie, Par on the same permit,
Yeah,
Indian Creek, the fire hydrant, all the stuff, that's another permit over here, Queens Park and Bonita Bay, they're kind of.
Peninsula's another permit all by
The
itself.
orphans, yeah,
that one's gonna be hard, just because of the size.
yeah, just because of the size.
That may have to shrink, I mean, I don't know.
This to be done in order, it might have to be done in 2 sections or 4 sections. or-
2 years.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
And then it'll be over time also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's what I'm saying. We have 140.
in my
Do that.
head, I'm seeing you have your own
That's not.
color coded map, Tim, I think. The way you just broke it apart according to your color codes. I don't see why we couldn't get our permits based on that. It holds true to what we've asked the public to vote on,
Yep.
so.
And we can say that's how we're attacking it.
Just test accordingly and get it going.
So I'll, do the finest South Park, do the red and then do your oranges and then we'll go from there for permits.
The,
Which is 6, 7 years down the road.
But Norm, the
there's
red,
not-
South
there's not
Park's
anything
red.
up there,
That means one of our
and really,
priorities.
And like,
Say it
like
again.
you're
South
saying,
Park's
bunch
red,
of those
that means
holes
that's one of our priorities.
So I think you could mark
Oh, that's right, up in
The
the end,
river
like that,
itself could
that
be-
bay up there,
one permit.
That's true.
and then going back. The amount of people we're servicing up in that.
Think we can get the river and South Park in one permit, George?
Yeah.
I don't think you wanna do that in one permit.
Yeah, on the other side.
Eagle's limiting how many permits.
Oh, yeah, that's
We're
right.
talking about not bids, I'm talking about
Can
permits.
Brian, is there another one I can, Brian? Yeah. You were right on El Camino. I
Yeah, there's one on El
I can see the
Camino,
house.
in the back end of the west end of Bonita Bay.
Yeah.
But how many permits, George, did you want
That
to
is-
limit it to?
Yeah, they had a place.
He said as few as possible. He
So
said
they didn't
you
give you
can
enough.
do it, he said you can do it under one permit, and I said, no, I can't do it under one permit, I only have 5 years.
I said it's one document to you, but it's still 12 locations to me. That I have to be able to get this done in 5 years.
Just because it's permitted, doesn't mean we have to bid it.
It's one permit, so we could have multiple contractors working under one permit number in different locations, yeah,
And every year.
but only for 5 years.
We're
That's the problem. We don't, the money isn't flowing. It's
So
getting
can
all
you-
done in 5 years.
Just for the sake of argument, can you call your contact at Eagle and say, can I break this into 4 and see if he has an issue with that? Was that
Five,
He said, I,
five.
5?
5.
I got it down to 5.
Okay.
So you got Birch,
This is
Hold on, hold
west,
on.
or excuse me, east, west,
I agree with you.
south.
so
Hold on, George.
5 permits, Birch is 1.
Right.
River is 2.
Correct.
South Park is 3. 4 is D, Birdie, Lincoln, Essex, Par. We can throw Par in somewhere else if we need to, because we gotta deal with South Park. That can go South Park, whatever.
Yeah, amazing stuff.
Yep. 5 is the Creeks, Fire Hydrant, Mini, and Queens. And that this leaves, the Bay is kind of an offer by itself.
Where's Peninsula? Which part, permit?
That's 3.
Right,
So Par and that would be 3. We can throw Bonita Bay in with
What
the
about the
others.
yellow ones in the bottom?
So this would be the 4 area, this would be the 5 area.
Okay.
Because of the volume and the expense of item 3. That may become item 4 until we get more money in the pot.
Man, you're up.
Or man.
Yeah, we may have to switch them
Break into 2 permits. Or 2.
or break it into 2 bids.
So does anybody have a disagreement on the way Tim's got that broken apart according to that map? It's pretty much how we.
It seems logical.
How we.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what we told them. Joe Public out there when we went off the bomb.
You wanna draw a line around those, Tim, and number them? I'm gonna just put it up right here. Cause yes, that does coincide with what we told everybody, this is what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
And it's, of course, the disclaimer is all subject on permitting,
But it covers a large majority of the way.
but it does cover a lot of the land.
We also give this a legitimate way to flex. And maybe an area,
I just don't see it.
maybe in there, well, we may have to break our.
Were you a party on that one with 4?
Yeah, to me, I think it makes sense just to do it on the northern.
And a half. And because of the money we have coming in, and you're gonna have to look at it as a segment, in a segment, moving it towards. Yeah, Birdie or Birdie Road or Birdie Drive, and so it might be done in 2 segments or 3 segments, but we would have the permit in one time. And but let's say if we were at that point and we were focusing on Peninsula, we could probably break it apart in 3 positions for the money we have for the 3 years.
Yeah,
You know, in the $300,000 range, and then so we have this, and this, and I think we looked at that as what, $1 million plus or something like that. when we looked at
Tim,
it.
did you email that to me for the meeting on tonight?
And me.
Lazy guys, I wrote it down.
I'm younger than you are. You can be.
Everybody is.
Okay, so. We're still having our discussion. I don't know, we need to have a vote on it, but I vote that I'm the 5 weeks.
Everybody here.
I think that just, all I wanted to make sure, and as we all do, is that we're doing what we told them we were gonna do. And keep it in the same perspective. That's all. Same way.
Anybody here have any?
You're gonna have a couple of
Changes.
natives, you're gonna,
I think it's
bad everything.
Okay, so we have the permit areas for George to go. Then do we need a vote to release George to do his testing in those areas?
So.
Yeah, I think.
That's money, George.
It's the river done.
Well,
George, you've been so directed.
I've already tested part.
or I've tested south and I've tested Pollock. I gotta do the permit for that net.
You don't have.
I need to do the
Log it in,
permit.
send an email.
We've pretty much combined our discussion along with our next permit.
Yep.
Project update is one. Has to be conversation.
Norm at Duke Roofing Company.
Yes, sir.
I thought you were using the Comcast now.
I told you like 10 times I don't use that. That's why I don't ever get my meeting.
That's why he hasn't responded to you.
George,
Not that I don't like it.
George, take
I
notes.
thought that you said you weren't using the Duke roofing.
No, I haven't used Comcast for probably 5 years. I still have access to it, but I don't never look at it. That's like for junk emails. For spam and
Yeah.
George's emails.
George,
I understand how that goes.
Yeah.
You're useless.
so do you,
dumping.
anybody have anything else they want to talk about or any other concerns? Lead time issues, permit issues? Questions you've had from friends, neighbors, aunts and uncles, anything?
I like Bill's idea, we just contract out after we get permits, if we got a contract out. Well, that's.
So are we going to do a bid for Riviera then, again, actually release it? Because I just went straight to Savin.
I think you should have more than one.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta have a couple, I mean, I'm not saying anybody else is going to give you a number, but
There's no reason we can't, you gotta wait about a year to get the flip.
we had quite a bit of people showed up for.
Yeah.
That wasn't a formal bid you got from Savvy. We
Yeah.
need a formal bid.
Yeah.
Right, and you guys adopted a policy that says you're gonna do formal bids like that, so.
Pretty neat, obviously would be one of the ones on the list, but there's other hydraulic people and maybe,
Well,
I don't care if Mally and those guys have long range, they tell you they can put
Yeah.
mats out there and drive around and do it, and they're not price back cheaper, I don't care how
Sure.
it's done.
we're submitting for permits for the river now,
Yep,
but if it comes back with stipulations, those should be in the bid package.
bingo. You are
Well, that's
100% correct.
expedite.
Because when we did that, the bid packet for Birch, we included a copy of the permit and made them aware, like, these are the stipulations on the state's permit,
Yep.
you know, so.
So we gotta expedite getting that bloody permit line.
How long did it take you for Birch?
90 days.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. That's what I said, if we get started now, we'll have it done by the end of the year.
Okay.
It will be able to bid out and they'll have the project lined up for the summer, late summer, fall of next year.
And not to put too fine a point on it, but we ought to do it in the next 90 days because the election's happening.
Yep, that'll change the game plan.
Could change who's in state house and state senate.
Who's approved it, I heard.
State senate's not on the ballot,
Of course, you hope for the better.
Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
You'll
governor's not on the ballot this time either.
You'll move the goalposts, so we don't need that.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
okay, so we can authorize George to try to get our testing done. What? Do you wanna have a meeting before that testing comes back?
Well, the testing, the next one's Riviera. The testing's already been done. So all I have to do is draw the permit out.
Did you do the additional permit, the original bottom test, whatever they wanted?
Mhm.
Okay,
I'd say
so
we
you
don't,
have to
need-
do the permit and send it down to Lansing,
I'd say we don't. need
Yeah,
that.
just do the permit.
paperwork.
just
It's just paperwork, George, you're good at paperwork.
get done before now the annual meeting, right?
We got a meeting at 7, can you have it done for that?
Yeah.
Between now and Friday, that'd be all right, or Saturday?
Yeah,
George,
Okay, yeah. So, again, if we're looking at 90 days to get the yay or nay or whatever this evil may or may not want for the permit,
and I like Dave's idea, get it done before we move the
I don't
goalposts
think
again.
we have much to talk about, do we have that permit annually?
Nope.
No, I mean, I think the next things we need to talk about, are, involve Birch, are we still? Have we come up with any other ideas on where we can dump the stuff other than the lagoon property, but yeah, as we get past Labor Day, I definitely think we should have a sit down with Mally and, like pre-construction type meeting, and
Do you want to shoot for mid-September then, to have Mally kind of refresh?
I'll get with Brad and see what he's thinking.
Okay,
'Cause they're out here right now on our clubhouse resurfacing project.
You wanna hit Brad to sit down with the committee then, before he puts on it down?
Yeah.
Nobody else does. don't need to have the whole committee.
Yeah,
That's too confusing for him.
just Norm, myself, George, Dave, like that.
So we'll wait till you talk to Mally and then you'll email out an agenda for when he may or may not have time to talk to us.
And he may have found a place closer to Dr.
Sure.
You know. He may have talked to the guy that owns the pit across the road on Drew, you know.
They're not best friends.
So we did
Well, I didn't figure
They're kind of
most contractors aren't very best friends.
They're kind of competitive.
I talk with Joe regularly and I've mentioned it multiple times. And yeah, I don't think he's against it, but he also has a plan for that property.
Yeah.
That's very reasonable.
Okay, well, Jim's gonna set time up with Mally, so I think that's, anybody else has any questions, thoughts, concerns?
We're gonna replace the,
Oh, Pete. We gotta accept Pete's resignation.
Making a motion to accept.
No second, and he's,
Yeah.
if that's his wish, I'm happy.
So are we going to try to,
okay, we had a motion to accept it. He said,
all in favor,
aye.
anybody? Didn't have any idea, we had a couple, we had like a waiting list, didn't we?
Yeah, there's some.
You interviewed, there are, I think, 5 people, my computer's updating, so I'm just not.
Michael Dunn, Christine Little, Patrick Woodhall, Marlon Howell,
And one of them,
Jason
one of them are big.
Zinger.
One of them
Some
wanted to
of
be
them-
paid.
one of them want to get paid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember. I know which one is which. I would, my suggestion, contact
Call them back.
one of them that we liked.
I think that the 2 that were liked the most were Christine Little and Woodhall. Woodhall was a no because, he lives in Ohio currently. They just got a permit to build their house. They're building down at the south Whispering Pines area. I approved it last month, so, Little had some type of family situation come up where she was gonna have to deal with that prevented her. Because the other thing that the committee members did too is they looked at whose schedule matched up best with everybody else's schedule.
You know, the other thing, that guy that lived in Ohio, when he started construction, he had kinfolk he was gonna live with in Venus or something, but. Pardon?
Yeah, okay.
Would like, you want to
And
send them
and he would
both
be in the
emails?
neighborhood at that point, so.
Yeah, you want me to reach out to those that you interviewed?
If you wanna reach out to the top 2 first, I'm not,
Sure, okay. I'm fine.
rather than have 5 people say yes, then you
Yeah.
gotta whittle it down.
Mhm. And then the other thing we never really talked about committee terms, like. Obviously, our board does their appointments every 2 years, you guys do your committees probably every year, but we should probably put like a 2-year term for the at-large.
I would stay with it.
And then we could treat Pete's as a 1 year, so that you're gonna have
Opening,
an opening every year, you'll have Todd and Tracy, they can renew in next year and. Whoever for Pete's in 2 years, something like that, but. That way you don't have the whole committee turnover at once, I feel.
better start.
And obviously Todd and Tracy are more than welcome to continue serving, just,
Yeah.
like everybody else, we got our terms.
I don't need a good backup to do this. It's everything else that I do.
Okay, so Tim's gonna reach out to the new potential
Sounds good.
committee members and it is 4:50.